You don't need to look far to see that human beings are obsessed with relationships. I mean, if I had a nickel for every season of The Bachelor and its spin-offs, I'd have about $3, which granted isn't a lot of money, but it is a lot of nickels. Relationships aren't just on our TV though, they're everywhere. And no, I'm not talking about that one couple who's uncomfortably comfortable with PDA. I'm talking about ecological relationships. From the tops of mountains to the bottom of the sea and everywhere in between, there exist complex webs of interconnected relationships between animals, plants, really all wildlife and their environment. Even in your own backyard, or in your neighborhood park, or your local puddle. When we begin to gain an awareness of these relationships, we get to see the world in new and exciting ways, and we can begin to answer the age-old question, where do I fit in? Hello, my name is Darian, and welcome to iSci, a new web series all about community science, where you and I together are going to learn how to become legitimate, contributing scientists, no matter who you are, what your age is, or where you are on Earth, whether you live in Nicaragua or the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic. This is actually a really old globe. Because as a very excited web show host is about to say, I science, you science, anyone can do science. Take that, Dr. Seuss. Community science. It's the theme of this entire web series, but what is it? Also known as citizen science, community science is research that can be done by anyone. Anyone can collect data and report it, often, but not always, online. This data is then compiled in massive online databases, where it can be accessed and utilized by career scientists, grandmas, young people alike. Not that those groups are mutually exclusive, of course. We're going to be kicking off the series today by diving into one of my favorite community science projects, iNaturalist. If you've never participated in community science before, this is the place to start. Created by the California Academy of Sciences and National Geographic, iNaturalist is a collection of observations of wildlife made by people from all over the world. The way it works? Well, you take a picture of any wildlife, or an audio recording, if that's your thing. Then you input the time and place you observe the wildlife, but if you're using a phone, chances are this information will be uploaded automatically. Then give your best guess as to what you think the organism you saw was. But you do not by any means need to be a professional. If you could tell me that this is a bird's foot trefoil, well, congratulations, good for you. I could not. If you're a little more like me and all that you could tell me is that this is, a plant, and that's great too. If you're totally unsure, iNaturalist will use artificial intelligence to suggest an identification for you, but as with all AI, it's not without flaw. Then any other iNaturalist user can see your post and add their own observation. So if I said this was a plant, someone who knows more than me might come and say, actually, Darian, this is a bird's foot trefoil. If I'm Mr. Plant Genius over here and I already knew this was a bird's foot trefoil, someone else can say, I agree, way to go. If I got very confused and told you that this was a yellow-rumped warbler, you can say, no, actually that is not a bird, that is a plant. Those are flowers. And that's cool too. So you can also see and contribute knowledge to any other user's observations. Let's take a look. The Explore page is where all the data is compiled, and it's just waiting for you and your curiosity to dive right in. You want to know exactly where people have seen a yellow-footed green pigeon. Cool, that's a thing. You can do that. Oh, dope. Are you planning a walk in a park and want to know what you can expect to see there? You can do that. You just want someone else to tell you what that cool bug you saw was? Say it with me, you can do that! People contribute to the project worldwide, with observations of all different kinds of life. From birds to insects to plants, mammals, reptiles, fungi, bacteria, even viruses like the one that caused these ring spots on a Lithuanian watermelon. You just need to be able to show that it was there, either with a photo or an audio recording. As of 2021, almost 2 million users have contributed to this database of over 85 million mind-boggling observations. I sat down with 7 of these community scientists to talk a little bit about why they participate.
My name is Outtro. I am a medical technologist by training. People have different day jobs. Not everyone is a botanist or an entomologist or in the natural science fields, but through iNaturalist, like we all can kind of share that same love for nature and like exploring.
I'm Barbara Wilson. I've been interested in nature since my childhood.
My name is Michele Chiacchio, and I'm a PhD student on the Helmholtz Center for Environmental Research in Leipzig, Germany.
Hi, my name is Olia. I am from California.
My name is Sandy Wolkenberg. I taught young children for 35 years in New York City.
My name is Erin Parrott. I'm a first year at Bryn Mawr College.
My name is Diego Hewitt, and I'm actually a scientist. I'm a molecular biologist.
Throughout this episode, they'll be popping in to share their thoughts and experiences about why iNaturalist is the place to be. We'll get back to them in a bit, but first, I want to take you on a little field excursion to show you what iNaturalist is all about. The observations. I went out on a walk in my neighborhood to see some wildlife and make some observations, and I filmed the experience so you could see what it looks like for me. For me, this is the most exciting part of participating in community science, actually doing the science. So, let's get to it. Okay, so we're gonna go outside. We're gonna collect some data. Today is the day. It's nice outside. I'm in my pajamas. I'm gonna get changed. My first observation was of this flock of birds that I ran into that I think had 3 separate species in it. I'm gonna have to walk past these guys, which is, you know, kind of spooky. They don't mean you harm. I'm actually gonna give you guys the sidewalk. That's gonna be an observation. Me and my besties. It's like, did I just take a picture of a Canada goose and call it data? Yeah. So I think by the transitive property, that means that I am a scientist, but I want to do more. So we're heading to the park. Head to the park. I made it to a little wooded spot. A lot of the leaves are turning already, but the oaks seem to still be pretty green, which is good. So we're gonna look around leaves and if we can find any flowering plants, because where there's flowers, there are sure to be pollinators. I already saw something really cool here on this tree. Let me flip the camera around. Do you see it? Certain types of insects will like lay their eggs in the leaf, and then the larvae will hatch from those eggs, and then they'll like eat out the good stuff in the middle. You see as they go through, they grow, like the hole that they bore like gets bigger and bigger, and then they like exit, which is like so cool. Okay, so I found some goldenrod, which is very late blooming, so it keeps the flowers for longer, which means that pollinators, lots of insects usually flock to them because they're like treasure troves of resources. Oh, there's a bee. Oh, there's a bunch of bees. Mosquito. But it's feeding on the plant. Mosquitoes eat pollen. But I also stumbled across these plants with like pink flowers. I think they're flowers. And I have no idea what they are. So I'm gonna snap a couple of pictures and then see what the internet has to say. Down there in the dirt, it caught my eye because it's bright orange. I think it might be a type of weird fungus. Maybe? I'll show you a picture. Okay, I'm honestly not seeing as much as I would like to here, so I'm gonna keep on walking. Hopefully there's still a big patch of flowers somewhere where I can find a bunch of juicy pollinators. So I did keep walking, and I'm so glad I did because I just hit the mother lode. There's all these tiny little yellow and white flowers. I think they kind of look like asters to me. They're covered in pollinators. Lots of insects with black and yellow stripes, which on first glance makes me think bees, but I also think that that's exactly what they want me to think. I have a sneaking suspicion that some of them are flies. And there's probably a little more diversity there than meets the eye. I've counted at least 5 different types of pollinators here, and I've been here for maybe 5 minutes. The more you look, the more you see. As long as you keep your distance, you stay pretty zen about it. It becomes almost like meditative. You can be like one with the bee. This guy even shakes his butt like a bee. He's a fly. It's like, don't come near me, I'm spooky, I'm scary, I'm gonna sting you. Okay, I think that's the last one. Bye, bees. That was a really good day for observations, but it is truly only half of the fun, because now we get to upload our pictures and turn them into data. So uploading. You can upload your pictures directly from your phone using the free iNaturalist app, but
And I think there is quite some room of improvement for the mobile version of the app.
I don't like the app on the phone. Just the usability isn't as great as it is on the desktop version, but
You're not the first person to have said that.
Hint, hint to iNaturalist developers.
so just use the desktop.
When like you open it and like you see like the world map of like all the observations, it's like, whoa.
Once we're on iNaturalist, we'll click Upload and drag and drop our pictures directly into the window. You'll see there's 3 slots for information. The observation, where you can give your best guess as to what you think you saw, or the computer will make a guess for you. There's the time, and there's the place. But as you can see, because I took these pictures on my phone, those are both input automatically. And then if you have any notes about what you saw, you can input them there, but that's totally optional. And then hit upload, and we're good to go.
I've seen someone posting amazing pictures. I remember once there was this guy who uploaded a picture from South Africa, I think, in which there was the antelope, and she took the picture from behind the antelope, and within the horns of the antelope there was the lion standing in front of them, which is something that's an interesting misconception that people have about iNaturalist. Often they see it as a photographer platform, and therefore if the photo is blurry or is not good, they might not upload it. That's really not the point of iNaturalist. The point of iNaturalist is uploading observations in general. So even a feather, even a blurry picture can help.
Michelle's right. I have taken some pretty good pictures of birds. I've also taken some not so great pictures of birds. Zoom in a bit. There's the bird. Can't you tell it's a scarlet tanager? But the thing is, both of these observations made research grade, which means that both of these observations are equally valuable data. So as long as the organism you're observing is identifiable, post away. It'll genuinely help to build a more representative database of global biodiversity, which is pretty cool. But what makes an observation identifiable? Well, for most mammals, birds, reptiles, even some insects, pretty much any decent picture will do. Clearly, sometimes even not so decent pictures will do. But for plants and fungi and some other organisms, your observations might need to be a little more detailed. Luckily, most plants won't try to run away from you or bite you, so taking a close-up picture of an oak tree is a lot safer than taking a close-up picture of, say, a Bengal tiger. Here are some pro tips on how to photograph plants so that they're most likely to be identifiable.
I'm particularly interested in grasses and sedges, grass-like plants, and I do search them out to do identifications on iNaturalist, but not many people know what parts you really need to photograph if you're going to identify these plants. If you're going to identify a grass, a photo of the whole thing, of course, is the place to start. And then narrow in on the flower or fruiting heads, the little green bits at the top of the plant. But everything's crowded in there, all the pieces are together. So break it up, put it on your hand, photograph it on your hand so we can see the details. And then it's also useful if you follow a leaf back to where it joins the stem and get photographs of the details there.
And I know, it's like, yeah, I'm contributing, but am I actually making a difference? Well,
I was looking for spice bush, and I found spice bush, and there were some leaves that were rolled over, and that's usually a telltale sign that the leaf has been used by a caterpillar. So I opened it up, and I found the caterpillar, but it was dead, and next to the caterpillar was the wasp cocoon. So that was very new to me, because I didn't know that there was a parasitoid using the spice bush swallowtail as its host. I actually brought them home, and I had the wasps emerge, and then I had to submit it to an expert for ID. And he actually said that it didn't match any record of wasps in that genus. So it's something new. It's a new ecologic interaction.
I took a picture of a small jumping spider. I found it funny looking, and then someone, iNaturalist, flagged that, identified as a certain species, and then someone corrected this person, like, this is something that actually is an undescribed species, and they're actually making a book to like revisit the whole genus, and that's gonna be one of the new species of spiders. Like, oh well, I mean, I had no idea. This arachnologist is using my picture to like, as a staple for the genus. So that's amazing. It feels also somewhat important,
Now we are writing the distribution atlas of reptiles and amphibians in Italy, and we use iNaturalist data to do that, apart from our own observation. And that helps hugely to increase our cover. Like we have eyes everywhere. It's literally like having people around the world contributing, even if they don't know it.
There's like some author who was like, hey, like, I'm writing like this like book or whatever, and I want to use this observation of your like common dualweed or whatever. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. I wanted to also have like this like impact as well, which I think is really nice. That it's like, oh yeah, like I'm not just like taking photos of things on my phone. I'm conducting citizen science and contributing to databases.
And I only spoke with like 7 users, so imagine the type of impact you could have.
It's aster season now, and there's all these little unidentifiable American asters that are so gorgeous and draw so many pollinators. And today I was out observing, and it's really cold out, so all the pollinators are there. Some of them are there, but they're very logy. And I got a transverse banded dronefly, which was like, oh my God, what could be more wonderful?
So did we.
What I like about iNaturalist is I just like iNaturalist. I like the doors that it opens for me. It's like a magnet. It just like pulls you right in.
iNaturalist can really works as a gym, as a training platform, let's say. So you keep improving and you keep learning new stuff. And so having this constant practice helps you integrating your knowledge, expanding your experiences and this kind of stuff. But it's also an excellent platform for scientists in general, which we kind of are. We kind of consider ourselves to be scientists.
Even like walking around my very suburban neighborhood, I could feel like that there was this whole other world that I could kind of like escape to and like begin to like learn about. It was just something that I could literally just take my phone and just like go and like go on a walk. It was nice to have like, I guess, that freedom and that feeling of like connectedness and to something like larger.
It's not just like looking for insects, it's like changing the way you look at the world, right? And that applies to any like field. Doesn't matter like what, like whether it's finance or medicine or whatever. It's like observation is such a powerful skill, and it's not always utilized because people don't practice it. Like you have to practice observation and actually like focusing on what's around you.
Okay, it's been a while since we've made those observations, so let's check back in. Check, and yes, okay. Literally nothing feels as good as seeing that little speech bubble turn red. And research grade. An observation makes research grade when its identification reaches community consensus, meaning that at least 2/3 of people agree on the identification. It's what all observations aspire to be when they grow up. Some take a little longer than others, but it's such a treat when out of nowhere, one of your observations that you made years ago becomes research grade. Finally, I asked these iNaturalist users what are the most memorable, exciting, impactful experiences they've had using iNaturalist.
One day when I was driving over toward the mountains, and I saw an odd-looking plant, and went over and for the very first time saw Tragopogon neris. The species evolved very recently here in North America when 2 Eurasian species were introduced here. They hybridized, and now it's its own species that can't breed back to either of the parental types. And it was the first time I ever saw it, so of course I took pictures and posted it.
I grew up in Southern California, and there's like this huge brush field behind my house that I grew up in. And I never really kind of like went and explored that until afterwards. And it's kind of crazy to think about, like all my life, there had been so many different species of birds living in my backyard that I only just started to learn about. And so now my favorite backyard bird is the black phoebe.
I found my first seed box plant. I found it in the spring, and it was in flower. It was a beautiful flower, and there was just one of it. And I thought, I wonder what this is. And I took a picture of it, and one of my mentor friend identified it as seed box. And he said, this is really exciting because wait till you see how it forms its fruit. And when you look at the fruit of seed box, the petals come together to form little boxes. Honest to God, little square boxes.
I was in Bar Harbor this summer, like in Acadia. It was like such like a dream, just like going through and like, oh my god, the fungi that I saw. Ooh, it was so crazy. And I remember just like being like on like this hike. I literally annoyed like my entire family, and they're like, Erin, no, you can't keep on stopping every time you see like something that's like that, like it catches your like eye.
Some days I will go to a park just to make iNaturalist sightings. And other times I'll walk somewhere and I'll pass by like a natural space or parking lot or whatever. And I'll see something interesting. Like, I don't know, a tomato sprouting out of a sidewalk in New York City. That's very unusual. Like I don't remember where it was, but it was like in a densely populated area. There's just this random tomato. You just need to look at your world with a new set of eyes. Even people who say like, you know, like there's no park nearby. I mean, like you don't need to go to a park. You could, like as urban as you can get, there's always something. Even inside your house, there's probably something. So.
Actually, there is a whole project just set up for observations made inside people's houses. We actually put together an iNaturalist project specifically for iSci viewers. So if you need an excuse to start, here it is. Make an account and use this QR code or the link in the description. We've got options. The project is live right now, so all you have to do once you have an account is click join, and all of the observations you make will be collected in this collaborative project. Not to mention the much wider iNaturalist community. Want to be the first in our group to observe whatever? Start now. I'm so excited to see what you end up finding and learning.
It's the thing I love to do most. It's really good for a person's soul to be out and just meandering around. The funny thing about it is, Darian, it never, ever, ever loses interest to me. And the best thing about it is, in this crazy world where you could worry about the next hour of your life, you go out in the world and you're photographing and you're just gone. You're just involved in everything that's really important.
Well, in New York City, like we walk by and we might not even pay attention to like our surroundings because we're so lost in like what we have to do, and then when you do that, you miss out on so much, and all that stuff that you've missed out is like what makes life really like fascinating and rich sometimes, right? So the more you observe, like the more you understand your own context, and the more you like understand the context around you, and then it's like you understand where you fit in relation to the world and to others and to yourself. And I think that's a great like like self-actualization. You're understanding yourself so much better.
Well, that's about it for this episode. So please let us know what community science projects you'd like to see us talk about next, or what we could do with projects like iNaturalist that would most interest you. Until next time, I've been Darian Fiorino. Now, get out and observe. In your house, in your puddle, the puddle you own. As of 2011, not 2011, literally what decade am I in?